guys, I want to share some tips with you on how to quiet your mind and just feel calmer and more grounded and experience more clarity when life just feels really overwhelming and when it just feels like your mind just won't be quiet, you know what I mean? And when it feels like you have no idea like what action to take next. I feel like this is a theme that's been coming up a lot lately. So I wanted to share 3 or 4 tips that I use when I'm feeling really overwhelmed and when I want to experience more clarity and calm in my life. Because if you think about it, our schedules are so busy, they're jam-packed, we're constantly like plugged in, consuming information. So can you imagine all the different thoughts that are going through our head? And that's just because we're constantly intaking information and we're not really having a chance to, create that space in our lives and declutter our minds. We declutter our homes, we declutter, our desk and our work areas, but we don't take the time to declutter our minds. And there's just a lot going on, and people are really feeling overwhelmed and burnt out these days, even more so than before. So some of my tips. My first tip is a good old brain dump, okay? I actually was having lunch with a friend yesterday, and she used a Trello board for this and basically just wrote out everything she needed to do. So I loved this idea, and I do this as well, but on a piece of paper, or I open up like a document in my computer and I literally write out everything that is on my mind, okay? Maybe you do one that's like more work related, maybe you do one that's more life related, maybe you kind of combine it and do it all together, whatever works best for you. And so basically it's like all those things that you're thinking about, it's taking up space in your head and you're putting it on paper, and there's just something, or on your computer, and there's just something so empowering about doing that. Like you see it on paper and you're kind of like, okay, this doesn't look so bad anymore. Like in my head, it seemed way worse, but on paper it's better, on the computer it's better. I can have more clarity on what actions I want to take moving forward. I can even prioritize like what's most important, what do I need to get done today, what can I just kind of let go of. A lot of those worries I'm realizing I can just actually let go of, and I've been trying to give myself permission to do that because we will never complete our to-do list. It's impossible. So it's like, again, just making sure, that's like a whole other conversation I won't get into right now. Okay, so the second tip, kind of connected to the first one, is journaling. I love journaling. I have been a journaler, is that a word? Who knows, now it is, for years now. And ever since I was a little girl, I just loved writing. I loved what was going on, or what is going on in my mind. Sometimes I can feel so overwhelmed, and it's like I don't know, like what action to take, or, we're humans. We're going to feel overwhelmed from time to time, and especially given the circumstances we're living in. So, carving out some time in the morning to journal, and again, it's just so powerful to get all of those thoughts that our monkey minds, get all the information on paper, all those worries, those concerns, the to-do list, those things that are constantly going on in our head, because probably most of those thoughts are reoccurring thoughts, okay? So again, it's nice to have those written down on paper. The next 2 you probably have heard me say a million times, and they're just like my favorite tips ever for everything. And one of them is to unfollow and unplug from social media and the news. That is one of the best ways to feel more calm, to feel more connected to yourself, to feel more grounded and less overwhelmed, okay? Because you're not taking in all this information. You're just like, okay, declutter. Think of, if you're decluttering your mind, it's like, okay, I don't want any more information in my head right now, right? Because there's only room for a certain amount. So it's like, no more worries, no more concerns, no more fears from social media, okay? So, try to create some space for that. I mention it time and time again because it's so important. I think it's imperative. And then the next thing I do is I get outside and go for a walk. Again, I think I say this a lot for it's like the anecdote for everything. It's like, just go outside and go for a walk. Spend some time in nature. I do this, if I wake up feeling kind of overwhelmed or maybe a little anxious, You know, I immediately put on some clothes, you know, put my tennis shoes on and go outside. I head outside immediately because otherwise I can kind of get stuck in my head, and then it's like I don't take any action at that point. Okay, so those are my tips. They're super simple but really effective, and let me know if you try any of them. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks a lot.